Okay. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Vikas, and those who don't know me, I'm a curator and consultant and founder of Artlune. We we are a we are an online art gallery which support emerging and mid-career South Asian artists. And today I would like to welcome you all to our monthly session, Sip Talk and Connect, where we discuss where we discuss support artists by giving them guidance on their journey. Without further ado, let's start the conversation because I know everyone is super excited. So today we'll be talking about how artists can price their artworks. Before we move forward, I would love to hear your thoughts either in comments or just type out, right? So what do you mean by art market, right? So 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 what do you mean by art market, and what do you mean by art businesses, and what do you mean by value of art? I know this sounds very like these are the terms which you hear every day, right? But again, it's something which has a lot of artists doesn't have a deeper understanding of it, right? So for art market, when I say art market, I'm talking about how the whole ecosystem where art is created, right? Created, promoted, sold, and resold through artists, galleries, fairs, auctions, online exhibitions, like online platforms like Artlune, and collectors, and all intersecting together, right? And it's not just one place; it's a network, right? Just bear this, like just keep remember this. It's not just a one place; it's a network of people coming together to create the ecosystem, right? And art business is something which is very interesting because as an artist, a lot of artists don't understand this, right? For me as a consultant, how I can describe is that art business is everything that turns your practice into income, making the work uh, making the work, pricing it, photographing it, marketing, right? Talking to buyers, signing contracts, delivering the work, taking care of the collectors afterwards. Like everything, this whole thing comes under art business. It's a structure around your art. And last thing is value of art, right? Value of art isn't only in the pay, is it? It's not only in the paint and paper, right? It's a mix of tangible and intangible value, right? Meaning rarity, your reputations, the emotional impact, and the demand around your work. The mix is what we really dealing, right? Is when is what we call price, right? And today it's all about understanding this mix and turning it into a clear and confident pricing structure for your own practice. Bef- Let me change the slide. Okay, so everyone, everyone. So I as a consultant, we have talked to a lot of artists since 2019, right? And there's this one notion which everyone has, that what gives art its value, right? A lot of people think that oh, it's how much other person is willing to spend. A lot of people say no, we should have a lot of people I mean a lot of artists says we should have our own pricing, right? But what exactly is, right? Before before you go deep into these conversations, there are some basic things which you need to understand. First is subject matter and style. So from subject, there are some subjects which are instantly relatable, right? Like portraits, landscape, figurative works, right? And there are some works which are more niche and conceptual, right? For to understand, for those kind of work, you need more understanding, right? The broader the subject is, the more accessible your art and style is, right? And the more how will I say, the wider your potential audience, right? On the contrary, there are also on the contrary, there are like, if your subject matter is niche or conceptual, your audience will be limited, and but it will be something which will pay you what you exactly want, right? And secondly, there's this technical skill and experience, right? For years of training, right? And your practice, your exhibition history, your trust with the buyers, collectors, and how much confident they are feeling in investing in your journey by sensing your mastery and solid track record, right? So when we talk about value, we are already moving beyond just how long it took, right? We are talking about everything you have invested to reach to this certain point in your life, right? Where you can create this work. So, let's strip away these emotional notions, right? And look at what actually makes price, right? How cost looks like. So there are obvious material cost, right? These are like, okay, before I move here, there are two different kind of values which makes your cost. One is tangible, other one is intangible. So right now we are talk so first we'll talk about tangible cost, right? Tangible cost is something which you can touch, which you can see, right? Which has some physical impact, right? That's tangible cost, right? So that will include your material costs like surface, which can be like panels, canvases, papers, right? Paints and inks, mediums, like and different mediums, and like printing, framing, hanging, and packaging material, right? And then comes how much time you are spending to make that piece of art. It starts from sketching to all the way to the photographing of the artwork, which will include like sketching, painting, drawing time, varnishing, photography, right? And on the top of head, which everyone excludes, is not everyone, I'll say, some people exclude, that is overheads, which includes your studio rental, your utility bill, your tools, your software, your website, your insurance, your shipping supplies, your platform fees or gallery rental, and most importantly, taxes, right? So because these are real costs, right? And for doing businesses, and it should reflect in your pricing, because it's not something which you'll pay out of your own pocket, right? Because to sustain and make sure art becomes a viable field for you, everything should come in, right? Next comes is intangible costs, right? Intangible cost is something which is added value to your price. It's like goodwill, right? So, okay, sorry. So it's like goodwill for your artwork, right? So it's say, how will I say, like if tangible cost is the ceiling, oh sorry, floor, then intangible is the ladder which leads you to the ceiling, right? And intangible cost consists of direct value, which is tangible cost. No, sorry, intangible cost is uh, is added on the direct value of your artwork. That is tangible cost, right? That's your baseline. And when you add intangible value in it, where is that's where things gets more interesting, because intangible value consists of your uniqueness of your piece or concept or cultural relevance, how it fits to your body or work, demand around your practice, past sales, exhibition history, press releases, or is the work is important in the series or it's just a supporting work. Because two work with a similar cost can price differently, because one can be the central piece with a heavy narrative, and other can be just a supporting narrative, like supporting that bigger narrative, right? So before I bombard you with tons of questions, tons of how will I say, like tons of information, I would like you to please comment below if you have any doubts or queries, right? Or just email us. We'll be more than happy to take on, right? So first thing and first formula which I'll say, which help you get your pricing right, is that is hourly rate strategy. Just one thing, that there are tons of different formulas, right? But we'll be just covering four, because these four formulas will cover a wide spectrum of artwork, from original artworks to commissions to prints and to multiples, right? So first one is hourly rate strategy. This is the method which we specifically use for labor intensive work like commissions, where you can clearly track your time, right? So decide your professional fee, that is your hourly rate, and then then add the time you spend on it, add material costs, and that gives you the baseline. How will you reach to your hourly rate? Now that's a interesting question, right? So hourly rate is something, imagine you are in a job, right? You are earning X amount per month, divided it by days and then by hours. So you'll get your hourly rate, right? In this case, we are saying that 25 pounds per hour is the rate, and the artist has spent 10 hours, right? And the material cost is 60. This means the base calculation is 300, and base price will be 310 pounds. That's the tangible value of the work, right? And on the top of it, you can add intangible costs, and that's where you can make the profits, right? Second formula is square inch centimeter strategy. This is a size-based formula, and it's useful for younger artists or emerging artists. That's because this formula you can use for your 2D works like paintings, drawings, murals, where large work generally requires more time and more material and create more impact to it. You can set a rate per square inch or square centimeter and apply it constantly, so that the you'll have a clear price guide for these kind of works. So if I'll say explain you with example, it will be like, if you decide you are charging £4 per square inch, and the piece you are working is have dimensions of 16 by 20 inches, right? So your total cost will be like, because you multiplied 16 by 20 to get the square area, right? So 320 multiplied by 4 plus your material cost. In this case, it's 120, right? So total it will be 1400, right? Any doubts or queries? So please feel free to comment us below, and I'll be happy to take that. All right. Next formula we are talking about is a linear inch strategy. It's for artists who doesn't like numbers. It's very simple, straightforward, right? Where you consider the overall size rather than the area, right? So here you just simply add height and width and then multiply by the linear rate. And what is a linear rate? Linear rate is something which like uh, like per like running line rate, right? It works well when you have a similar complexity and you want straightforward scaling across the sizes, right? And you can build a chart based on this and adjust the rate as the demand grows, right? So in this particular case example, the artwork again is 24 by 18 inches and your linear rate is 25 pounds per inch, right? Then and your material cost is 200, then you'll just simply add 24 and 18, multiply by 25 and add 200 pounds as a material cost. So applying board mass rule, it will be 1250 pounds, right? Next next strategy is multiplier strategy. So what is a multiplier strategy? It's a strategy which is very much useful when you are working across prints or multiples, right? So how will I say, like example, there's a you have original artwork and you want to reproduce limited edition prints of it. So you'll see at the production cost of per unit, which includes your paper, ink, packaging, platform, and choose a multiplier that covers your time, overhead, and profit, right? So in this case, production cost per unit is 15 pounds, and the number which denotes your intangible value is 4. So this means your base price for each print will be 600, right? Addition, if and as I said, it's an addition of 20, then this means you'll have a potential revenue of 1200 pounds, right? So as I said, it's oftenly used for prints, multiple small works where unit costs are clear and the addition can spread across pieces to create the profit, right? So now just a quick question for all of you. What feels like a comfortable multiplier for you right now? Is it 2, 4, 3, 4, 5, whatever, right? Please comment down that multiplier below and ask why you and justify that multiplier and like why you can say, okay, example 4, why 4 is something you go for, right? If you can justify that, that's great. If not, then what changes you need to do in your practice to justify that multiplier, right? So please comment down your expressions below, right? We'll be happy to take on. So these are the four price strategies, right? And one thing I would like to say, please try using all these four so that you'll have a better understanding of what works best for you, right? Sorry, because we worked with so many artists since 2019, right? So we understand that from my own experience, I can say this, right? A lot of artists don't consider price as a ladder, right? For them, it's a stepping stone, right? And that's where a lot of things get tricky, where that's where they have inconsistency in pricing, inconsistency in raising their price, or inconsistency in valuing their artwork, right? So maybe let's move forward with what is a pricing structure, and what is how you can build your ladder, right? As I said earlier, like look at your bot, like as I said earlier, how will I say, okay, so so if you look at a body of work, right? you s- price the artworks, right? And do you feel like it is it is a strategic decision. It's like you place it in a very strategic way, or it's just some random price you came on the top of your mind and you start pricing it, right? Or do you see like some prices are too high, some prices are too low, right? Please tell us, right? And why I'm saying you to tell me this, because what happens, artists forget to realize one very basic thing, that pricing is a ladder, right? As I mentioned earlier, and you can see it in a shape of a pyramid where original works and signature large signature original works are at the top, right? Mid-size originals are at the middle, and then comes small works, paper, limited edition prints, and open edition prints, right? So but now a question arises, how will I know how much I should charge for my limited edition prints, or how much I should charge for my mid-size prints or mid-size artwork, right? So as I said, like we'll cover that, how will I say, like we'll cover this in next slide. But before I give you answer to this, there's a very simple percentage I want you to remember. That is, your artworks should have a clear logical relationship with each other in terms of pricing. It cannot be abruptly too high or too low, right? So what I as a consultant suggest to my clients is, start with a small body of work, right? So where a small work is like 40-50% of your medium size works, right? So like example, let's suppose your medium size work is, how will I say, like £1,000, right? Then your small work should be 400 to £500, right? At the same time, if your original is 2000 pounds, right? Then your print of that original should be of 20 to 30%, so like 400 to 600, so that there's a clear relationship between your prices throughout the body of work, right? Rather than being abruptly high and low, right? So this is what a pricing ladder is, right, at the core, right? So now I'll tell you like how you'll price your artwork, because earlier I said, oh, this much percentage should be there, this much percentage should be there, but percentage out of what? Sorry, that's something we need to figure out, right? So because nothing exists in the vacuum, right? So there is like there is a comparative pricing where you compare your pricing, or your compare your pricing means with other artists who are working in similar medium, size, subject matter, audience, or career stage, right? Or gallery, fair, online platforms, right? And make sure when you are comparing those works, those artists, it should not just on the basis of style, right? It should also include exhibition history, awards, press, followers engagement, sales venues, that tells whether their pricing context matches yours or not, right? So before I'll ask one question with you, from all of you guys, right? What can you like can you name few artists, like whom you feel are just where you are or just above your current career stage, and how you are now, and how will you feel, how will I say, like okay, okay, wait, let me rephrase it, right? So have artists, like search some artists who are at the same level at yours, some which are above, some which are below, right? see what's their price range, where and see where you fit in, right? So I'll request you, please comment down the artists you think are above you or below you, and where do you see yourself in those things. And if you need any help or guidance, feel free to message us or email us, right? Moving, this is something where this is how you'll get a base price, or not base price, I'll say this is how you'll get price of your artwork in the market, right? Without being over expensive or extremely cheap, right? So so there's this post we posted on LinkedIn, and it got a lot of artists stating that galleries charge tons of commission, right? And like my and if I'm selling my artworks, it's relatively less because they are charging so much commission. Why should I go with them, right? So so it all comes down to pricing, right? How galleries are placing you in front of your collectors, right? Because sales channel affect your pricing a lot, right? There are two major markets. First is primary market, and I'm sure a lot of people know primary market. If you don't know, primary market is something where your work sells for the first time. It can be your studio, a gallery, or a fair, or any online platform, right? And the secondary market is where your work resells through auctions or dealers, which can influence the perceived value over time, right? Because galleries invest in artist careers, growth, right? Market positioning. That's why galleries often charge 40 to 50% commission. So make sure when you have retail prices, right? Someone comes to your studio, right? You already have those things included in it. Otherwise, your artworks will be lower than the gallery price, which will undermine your own market value and the relationship with the galleries and collectors. Because for them it will be like, oh, because you are selling it for so cheap, why should I like now buy? This means you are not ambitious enough in your career, or you are not confident enough. So for them it will be a risky bet to bet on your career or your growth, right? As I said, nothing comes from the vacuum, right? So everything has rules, everything has a clear strategy behind it, right? And the key to a sustainable pricing is that you need the rules, right? Because if you won't have a set structure, you'll always end up having a chaotic pricing where you don't know why did you choose this, and why did you price this particular artwork this. And when you review your prices annually or biannually, right, you'll find it tricky to adjust, right? Because there's no baseline you worked on with. So as a suggestion I can say is that start with a default formula where you use square inch or any method which we I told you earlier, right? And cross-checked prices with your like, how let's like wait choose a choose example, for example, choose an hourly rate, right? Square inch pricing example, and cross-check with your hourly rates, right? If it justifies you, stick to it, right? If it's not, change the formula and see what works best for you. Then create a master price list and keep it with you, or update with you on your website, on your socials, or share it with the gallery so that everyone is aligned. And review twice a year or after having a major milestone in your life, in your career, right? Like example, you said, I'll do two residencies this year. After the residency, I'll see where my career chart is going, and accordingly I'll adjust the prices, right? So you did the residency, you check the market you are planning to go in, you see your competitors or artists whom you admire, you see this is my current trajectory is, and this is what I should now charge, right? It can be either increased price or decreased price, or it can be anything, right? But it should not be impulsive. Throughout the work, throughout the series, it should be very much consistent, right? So this is something which I'll say, like, it's very important to have. Now, because I talk to so many artists, right? There are honestly so many mistakes which artists made without even understanding or considering. So, if you have any mistake which you want to say, please comment below, and we'll be happy to revert to those mistakes, like so that everyone should know, right? Because these are the common mistakes which everyone does, right? A lot of artists start their journey, they do it because you only learn when you make mistakes, right? So it's very common to have mistakes, but if uh, if you have any mistakes which you want to highlight specifically, please comment. All right. So what I have seen in my life, a lot of artists, they constantly undermine their prices, right? Or they give constant discounts, like, oh, buy two works, two small works get a limited edition print free, or buy small piece, or like buy this big piece at 30% off, right? Instead of something which they should have done occasionally, they start doing it regularly. It's good, it feels generous, to be honest, like, oh, this artist is like giving away his works or her works, right? But it's a very short term gain, right? Because in longer run, in longer journey, it will devalues your art, right? And it's hard for people to trust your prices, because when you when you're constantly giving the discounts, you raise your price, they're like, oh, he'll the person artist will give discounts again, we can buy them, right? That eventually you'll stop people from buying from the price you actually want, right? So that's I'll say that's one of the major mistakes artist does, right? And second major and most important is they ignore their overheads, which majorly includes excluding commissions and taxes. Oh, I work in studio, right? Okay, studio is in my mind, bills in my mind. Okay, I forgot to add the commission which gallery will take. Or by the end of the year, I have to submit tax. I didn't charge that. So this is again something which a lot of artists forget to add in their pricing. And they charge according to their mood, right? Look, rather than rather than doing the research or having a consistent pricing, right? Okay, because this artwork I like a lot, I'll charge more for it. This artwork I don't like a lot, I won't charge a lot for it, right? So that again put people in dilemma who actually are interested in your work, because they can see abrupt changes in the artworks pricing, right? So try avoiding these very basic and very common mistakes, right? And if you know any, if anything else comes to your mind, comment below, right? So How will I say, like, before I move forward, I would like to ask you a reflective question. That is, what's your pricing habit, right? And are you willing to change, right? After this, what's after this workshop, that habit of yours? Like example, I can give you like example. I gave a lot of discounts in my paintings. So after this workshop, are you willing to change it, or I give my artwork price according to my mood? So are you willing to change it? So please comment below what's that one habit, right, which you can change or willing to change after this workshop, right? Right, like, and moving forward, I'll say there are a lot of other parameters, right? Because when uh, when people when artists start selling their works, right? Because it's already very hard for artists to put price to something which they deeply cared about, right? Price to something in which they invest their soul, right? And all of a sudden someone comes in as a collector, someone, I can say anyone, like a random a random person came in, right? And they talks about, okay, hey, I'm interested in this artwork, how much it cost, right? Okay, being an artist, you said, oh, it will cost X amount, right? All of a sudden, it's a conversation about the price, because the person is, oh, it's too much, could you please go down a bit, this, that, right? Then you'll start saying, no, it took me X amount of time to make this, and I spent this much money on material, right? Rather than focusing on the value it comes with. Because when someone says, okay, how much this is cost, like how I want to buy this means you are already in a winning situation where price is least of the worry. They are more interested in understanding what value they are getting if they'll buy this thing, right? So I'll say, rather than saying it took me 10 hours, or it took me this many hours, or this much cost, right? Talk about your process. How did you start this piece, right? Where, what materials you used, what techniques you use, what research you undertake to make this piece, and is this piece belongs to a series, or is it just standalone piece, or what's the exhibition history of this piece? Try to show the value, the intangible value of the work, right? And if you have any discount policies or any payment plans, please be upfront with it, because it's the less consistent you are, the less the more harder it is for collectors to trust you, right? So, because example, I'll say, like, you went you gave a price plan, like, okay, you said, give us pay me in 2 monthly installments and take this work. But someone else came in, you are like, no, I need it immediately, like the whole amount, right? So make sure, if there is anything, you are consistent with it, rather than something how let's say, like, on and off, right? So how and I how let's say, like, there's this thing which we tell all our artists to practice, right? It's a very self introspectory thing, where you say, my artwork is priced this because, and you fill up that space with the process, material, context, but no apologies at all. Apologies always doesn't mean sorry. It also means undermining your worth, undermining your artwork value, right? So start practicing that, and this will actually give you a lot of insights about you, your artworks, your prices, right? And and sorry. So so I'll say like, so now we have, so far we just talked about strategies, what to do, what not to do, how to defend your price, how to mark your price, how to see where you stand in the market. But question arises, how will you raise your price? That's something which everyone loves to hear. Because me being like as an artist, when I say like, oh, I example, I'm an artist, right? So me being an artist, I'll say, oh, now it's time to raise my price, right? What grounds I can justify that raise? Because a lot of artists come to us, they're like, oh, people who started the same time as we, they came in and now they are selling their artworks for this much price, and they are doing this, they are doing that. But whenever we are increasing our prices, people are not buying it anymore, right? So there are some what we suggest to artists is that there are some very simple stats to look at, right? Which gives you indications that now it's the right time to increase your price, right? Like example, you are having regular sales in your current price, right? Or you have a lot of people waiting to get your commission, right? Or you have a strong CV where you have more shows, press releases, awards, and increased material or overall cost overheads, right? Cost. So those are the indications. Overhead cost and material cost. Why I added it? Because inflation is there, right? So these are some very common factors which give you sign that now it's the right time to increase your prices, right? But when exactly or how exactly will you raise the price? Can it be abruptly? Like, oh, yesterday I was selling one painting for 200 pounds. Today I'll be selling for 400 pounds. Is it something like this? Or is it something you need to think very smartly, right? That's something you need to figure out. Because for us, it's, as we suggest to artists, for us, it's a gradual increase, right? So you start with the, like, how let's say, like you start with 10-15% of increase on certain products, certain art, certain series, right? And see how it is going. Example, there's this artwork, there's this limited edition prints, you increase your price by 10%. You see, is there more demand coming up, or people are buying it more, or is it still the same, there's no change, right? And if you increased it, and does the demand drops, right? And if everything goes as you are planning, like you increase the price and demand is still same, you start adding price to rest of your series, right? Or you do annual review, right? Like how let's say, like there is a strong period where you had a lot of sales, right? And rest of the period you don't have any sales. This means this is not the right time for you to increase your prices. You have to make sure you're consistently getting the sales, right? Or after annual review, where you say, okay, throughout the year I got sales this much on this price, I should try increasing certain lines and certain collection and see how it goes, right? And if any changes happen, clearly state with your gallery, like now onwards I'm charging this much for my artworks, right? So that the galleries and collectors are aligned throughout this journey, right? So I'll ask you to comment down below, what's that one significant milestone which you think you as an artist should have, which will justify the sales of your, like justify the increase of your price. No shame. It can be number of sales, it can be number of solo exhibitions, it can be number of press releases, it can be a certain level where you want you to be, or certain residencies where you achieve yourself, where you think you have achieved something, right? Just comment down below, and we'll be more than happy to hear what you guys think, right? So if I think I think this is something, why I'm again and again saying like comment below or introspect, right? Because this is not a monetary transaction, right? This is something you are firmly believe in, right? We really, when we work with artists, we really don't make them feel like it's a monetary transaction they are doing, right? Although in the end it's a monetary transaction, right? But it's something you feel very passionate about, you created that, and now because you want to pay your bills, that's why you are selling, otherwise you won't have sold, right? So these are the things which artists need to understand, because art school teaches a lot of skills, but they don't teach you how to sell, right? They don't teach you how to market yourself. That's where these strategies came in. Like we teach our we we teach our artists like how they can increase their current potential, how they can reach to the residencies they want to reach, how they can market themselves so that they can have their own collector base rather than heavily depending on just the galleries, right? So these are something which is very important, and the constant factor which fuels all of this is the price, because you earn, then only you can spend. You cannot end up spending everything from your pocket, right? So before we leave, right, if you guys have any questions, right, please comment us below, and we'll, or email us at artlune was admin@artlune.com. We'll be more than happy to answer all of your questions. So before we say bye bye, right, I would like you to create your own price list, all right, and with the things which we have covered today, right? Choose any of the formula which we discussed, right, and select three or five comparable artists, few at the current stage, few above you, few below you, right? And note their price ranges, where they're currently presenting their pieces, or does positioning really matches you, or it's just something you admire the artist and you just think it should be the competition, right? And have a thought about it. And if you feel like you need a deeper understanding of your own portfolio or pricing, feel free to reach out to us for a free 15-minute no obligation one-on-one call, where we will be able to look at the body of work, your goals, and understand what exactly you need. And moving, then we can build a tailored solution specifically for you, so that you feel more confident taking next step in your artistic career journey, right? I would love to see you guys booking sessions and see the output of this workshop. Please scan this QR code to know more about us and follow us on socials, or just email us on the given email address, and we'll be happy to answer, right? I'll be I'll be happy to share, like I'll be happy to schedule call with you guys to understand exactly what you need, right? And before we say bye, there's this one thing I would like to say to all the artist art artists emerging mid-career, or people who just love making art, right? That your art deserves prices that honors your time and vision, right? Make sure your numbers reflect that. It's not something which created out of blue. It's something which actually is you. All right. So I hope I'll see you guys again, and please join us for next week. Oh, sorry, next month, same times, same place, with another interesting session. And information will be coming soon in our newsletters and on our socials. If you want to have access to this presentation, please feel free to email us, and we'll be able to share you with free 15 minutes session, right? I'll see you guys soon. Enjoy. Bye bye, and thank you. Thank you.